I know as a black community, we use that as an insult. Like, you need to get some help. When in all reality, no, you need some assistance. Like, and so that stereotype of like, that help is bad or a negative thing or something is wrong. It's like we're human. We all actually have something wrong with us.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
It's okay.
And that's
Stuff to be
okay.
wrong.
And for me, like I had to fight through that personally. I'm like, do you believe that your life matters? Like I had to ask myself, like in the mirror, do you believe that your life matters enough to be to end up like you see a lot of black men on TV? And so there's this stereotype that we're not supposed to get help, that we're supposed to be strong, as a person of color. Like I do sometimes fall into that stereotype. Like I still struggle with that and being like, I gotta power through. It's like you don't. You actually, I would tell everybody, like, black boy joy, but I actually didn't have joy at the beginning of the year. I cried like for 2, 3 weeks straight. You know what I mean? Because it was tough, and so there's a stereotype that we have to look a certain type of way in order to be excellent, right? This like picture of black excellence doesn't like even that's a downfall. This stereotype of like black excellence doesn't have problems. It's like this blueprint of this human that isn't actually human. And so I think that um, that's something that we have to get past is like this need to always even look a certain type of way. I know that I struggle sometimes with the title of Black Boy Joy because I'm like, actually, I don't want to show up that same way every time. Actually, I'm not feeling y'all today, so like, we gonna figure it out, or we not. Like, but I let you know, and I'm going, and so like, it's a like fighting past the stereotype that I have to be a certain type of way to be received in love is like is something that I'm like moving out of the way actively.
And to your point, I don't. It's part of that. I think is because historically we haven't been able to be multidimensional, right? Like not in the
Right.
media,
Right.
not in anything. And when you talked about superhuman, that's what I was thinking about. You see, like the people who we society holds up on this pillar, right? Like the black excellence. You're talking about people who have excelled in their fields.
Right.
I'm thinking specifically of athletes, and they are often touted as like supernatural, and that's historical. You talk about black men during enslavement being touted for their strength and their speed and all these things. Even black women for their bodies because they didn't look like white women's bodies. And I'm drawing a blank on her actual name, but she was called the Hottentot Venus, right? And taken apart and dissected for her body. So, yeah, Sarah Bartman, thank you. And that is how black men and black women have often been seen, and that's still true today. You see LeBron James, you see Serena Williams, you see Simone Biles, all these people who have excelled in their fields, and when they do say, "I need help," like Simone Biles did when she said, "I'm not gonna participate right now because things are not going well." The stigma attached. You have Serena Williams who knows her body, has been an elite athlete, knows her body better than most people, having to fight with her doctor when she was trying to give birth, saying something is not right. We don't have the space to say, "I need help," because the perception, that stereotype is often that black people are superhuman, right? And so you don't need help because you just push through and you can keep going, and that's something that we have to unlearn.
Absolutely agree. And then if Serena's going through that and trying to
Right.
Exactly.
Who doesn't have her resources, who doesn't have her level of support, right?
Only imagine. So, what are some things that we can do as individuals to collectively change the situation?
Get yourself together. I mean, no, like, no, like you're not like I really I feel like we have like misinterpreted servitude as a community. Yes, take care of mom and grandma and buy them a house, like do all of those things, but like don't do it at the cost of you like dying before you actually like are able to obtain those things. And like that's the reality of it, right? That there's this pressure on us to like take care of everything else but ourselves. And actually, even with my mom, one of the things that I think about her, right? Because there's an age where we start to look at our parents as human. wow, you want to know the one thing that I say? Is that I'm like, I wish you would have done more for yourself. I wish you would have been. I wish you would have like set me aside some of the things that you did for our brother and taken more moments for yourself. You know, because that would have benefited everybody, right? And so I think that as individuals, there's this accountability to us to be better first. And I see it. I see it as a ripple effect in my life. The more internal work that I'm doing, it changes the way that I'm able to have conversations. It changes the way that I love people. It changes the way that I'm able to hear stories and create space because it's coming from a space of overflow. You know, like I told you, some days I don't actually want to show up the same way. So I'm gonna keep some for myself today. I'm not gonna smile. I'm gonna actually throw on my shades because I don't want to look at you. You know, like, and so there's this. I encourage people always to think about themselves first, and it's not selfish, right? It's actually a act of courageousness, yeah, and like boldness, right? Because you're declaring that like I cannot do something for you that not it doesn't work that way. You can't teach a class and you haven't studied yourself, you know? And so it's like you can't really love the people around you the best way you know how unless you love yourself the best way you know how. And a lot of our people love each other from a deficit, and it shows. It shows in it shows in the way that we interact with each other. You know what I mean? It shows in the way that we like take care of ourselves. Um, it shows in the way that we value ourselves sometimes. So yes.
My business out there.
I completely agree, and I think what it is boundaries and no is a whole sentence, and that's something that I've been learning because, like you said, my mother was the same way, and I watched her do everything for everybody all the time. And towards the end of her life, she died in 2021. I think she got so angry and really realizing how much she had poured into other people and not into herself. And so I think that has taught me, even as a parent, like I need to have these boundaries and guardrails. Like I told you, I worked late every day this week. I don't think I got home before 8 o'clock. And I teach, so my day starts at 7. Like I'm at school at 7 a.m. And I got home last night. My kids like, no, 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 no. I went in my room, close that door. I watched TV and I would sleep. I would sleep by 6:35. I don't know what happened. Everybody was alive this morning, and I went to sleep. And it is pouring back into yourself. And it's, I think, something that we have to learn because we've never been given the freedom for that. I watched a coworker of mine, a white man. He, one of the principals was asking him, like, we need you to help with testing stuff. And he was like, cool, I'm happy to help, but I need X, Y, and Z. Like, if so-and-so is going to be there, then you need to be there as well because he gets off task and it's going to throw everybody else off task. And I'm going to do this and I need this. So if those guardrails are in place, I'm happy to help. And I watched him and I was like,
must be nice.
I want to be like you. I know I can do that. I said, I want to be like you when I grow up because I would just said yes.
Yeah.
Because it's my job, I need to keep my job. I can't be arguing with admin. And I watched him roll out at 2:20 every day, so much so that when I left after the tutoring, his car was still there. I said, are you okay? Your car is still here, sir. You don't be here past 2:20.
Yeah.
But it has just been to watch him, this thing that is so natural for him to like, nope, not gonna do that, is something that I'm learning. And so I think we have to learn those boundaries. We have to learn that no is a whole sentence, full stop. I don't need to offer you an explanation. No. And I was listening to a podcast and somebody said, that's not a good fit for me. And it doesn't, take away from what you have going on, but that's not a good fit for me. I can't do that. And so I think that's the thing that I'm learning and hopefully teaching to my children that it is okay to say no, that you need space. Exactly, if you're not comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that we are learning that now, if we can then teach our children that, that is a massive culture shift in a generation, right? And so I think we have to work on ourselves so that we can be better, like you said, for them.
And that self-talk is often the hardest that I come across. Like it's easy to look at people in the room and point out like what they have where you're coming from, I feel like that's like the hardest conversation I've ever